Welcome to today's matchup between the University of St. Francis Fighting Saints and the Cougars of St. Xavier University. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call as the Saints and the Cougars go head-to-head in 2 ball games this afternoon. St. Francis comes in with an overall record of 10-16. St. Xavier's 15-9, but the two sides are neck and neck in the CCAC standings coming into today. Let's take a quick look at the starting lineups. First for the visitors from the south side of Chicago. St. Xavier has Shea Brozek leading off and playing right field. Batting second, catcher Aaron Orzek. John Simicek hits third and plays first base. The cleanup hitter is DH Parker Violet. Noah Dreyer bats fifth and plays second. Trevor Corbett is the shortstop. Ben Meyer bats seventh and plays center field. Bo Pollocky is at third base, and batting ninth, left fielder Max Waskevich. The starting pitcher for St. Xavier today is senior Trent Markizich. Let's look at the starters for the home team. St. Francis has Nate Maliska leading off and playing first base. Batting second, second baseman Max Montgomery. Jake Murda hits third and does the catching. Batting cleanup, third baseman Ryan Louthan. Their number 5 hitter is the DH, Dylan Scafuri. Ethan Fleming plays shortstop. Dominic Alberico bats seventh and plays left field. Christian Rosales is in right field. And batting ninth, center fielder Mitchell Thomas. The starting pitcher for the Fighting Saints here in Game 1 of this doubleheader is right-hander Jack Otis. Otis is finished with his warm-up tosses. He's about ready to get today's game started. Otis making his 7th start and 8th appearance this year. He goes into the windup for the first pitch of the ball game, which is bunted at and missed by Brozek. We're underway with strike one at 1:02 p.m. Central Daylight Time. 0-1 on Shea Brozek, a .333 hitter with a home run and 16 RBIs this year. Get to the numbers on Otis after the 0-1 pitch. Brozek again shows bunt. This time he pulls the bat back and takes strike 2. Jack Otis this season has a 3-2 record, 7.80 ERA. In 30 innings pitched, he's allowed 28 runs, 26 of them earned on 47 hits. With 26 strikeouts against 11 walks, he misses high for ball 1. He's been the second most used starter this year by St. Francis, and the second most effective starter this year for the Saints as well, as that's poked foul to the right side and out of play. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes on Brozek. Anthony Panzella is currently the CCAC leader in earned run average in his 6 starts this season. The 1-2 pitch. Chopped to the left side of the infield. Charging Louthan. Tough play. He's got to make it quickly. And the throw to first is not nearly in time. It gets away from the first baseman, but ricochets off the side wall back towards the foul line. And so Brozek is not able to advance any further. It'll be an infield single to get us rolling today. No real chance that time for Ryan Louthan. He made the play as well as he could, but it was just a very softly hit ground ball. And Brozek runs well, so there was really never a chance to get him at first base. Now you've got to watch out for him. A decent base stealer. He goes a lot. 10 for 17 stealing bags this year. The first pitch to the number 2 hitter, Aaron Orzek, misses high for ball 1. 10 stolen bases, ranks 3rd on the team. The 17 attempts ranks 2nd on the team, so he does go often. The 1-0 pitch fouled off his foot, 1-1. But not at a particularly high percentage. So far, we've not seen Otis take any close looks over at first base. It's 1 ball and 1 strike on Aaron Orzek, the catcher. The 1-1 pitch is grounded sharply to the shortstop, flipped over to second for one. The relay throw is in plenty of time, a double play. 2 down and the bases are empty as Otis gets both of the first 2 hitters to hit ground balls. And the irony of the game of baseball, the guy who hit it very softly ends up with a hit out of it. The guy who squared up that ball ends up recording 2 outs on 1 swing of the bat. Tough break for Orczak, an easy double play for the Fighting Saints. And that brings up John Simicek, the Cougars' leading hitter this season. Simicek swings the first pitch and grounds it past the third base coach's box for strike 1. Simicek is hitting a whopping .440, slugging .853. He's got 16 extra base hits in 23 games played this season. A team leading 6 homers, 27 RBIs. Leads the ball club in pretty much every offensive category. And lest you think he's just a slugger, that includes stolen bases. He's got 15 of those. One pitch coming from Otis. Flip to the right side and through the hole for a base hit. Second hit of the inning for St. Xavier, and the Cougars have a 2-out base runner. That's what I was just saying. He does everything well. It's not just hitting for power. That time, he just pushed it off to the right side and found a hole between the first baseman, Miliska, and the second baseman, Max Montgomery. So a man on, 2 away, and the batter is Parker Violet, the DH. Throw over to first base, and Simicek diving back to the bag. Violet with 2 Ts is hitting .319 this season. 7 extra base hits, though no homers yet. 13 runs batted in. First pitch to Violet. Grounded past the pitcher's mound. Montgomery stands behind him and fields it. He flips over to Fleming, covering the bag for the 4-6 fielder's choice, ending the top half of the first inning. The Cougars get a pair of hits, but they don't get a runner past first base in their half of the first. We'll head to the bottom of the frame. No score early here in Joliet. It's the bottom of the first inning. St. Francis will get their first at-bat of the game, and Nate Miliska is set to lead things off. He'll be followed by Max Montgomery and Jake Murda. Louthan, Scafuri, Fleming, Alberico, Rosales, and Thomas make up the rest of the lineup, facing Trent Markizic, a lanky right-hander who goes into the windup for his first pitch of the ball game, which is fouled back by Miliska for strike 1. Trent Markizic this year is 3-1 with a 4.11 ERA. He's making his 7th start of the season. In 35 innings pitched, he's allowed 20 runs, 16 of them earned on 38 hits. with 31 strikeouts against 3 walks. So an outstanding strikeout to walk ratio. Just 3 free passes issued in 35 innings as Maliska nearly takes his head off, lining a shot in the center field, a leadoff base hit for the Fighting Saints. So each team gets a leadoff single in their half of the first inning. They come about it very differently. Slow roller was hit by Brozak to allow him to reach. In the case of Maliska, a screaming line drive puts a runner at first base with nobody out in front of Max Montgomery. Montgomery, the senior out of Orland Park, Illinois, squares to bunt, drops it down the first base line. Gathered by Markizic, who tosses to first and gets the out. It's a successful sacrifice for Montgomery as his teammate Maliska advances up to second base in front of a good run producer, Jake Murda. So far, so good offensively in the first inning for the Fighting Saints as they become the first team in today's game to get a man into scoring position. We'll see if Murda can drive him in, something he's done 28 times this year. By far the team leader in RBIs. Murda is hitting .329. He's got 8 extra base hits, including a pair of home runs. First pitch from Markizic is slapped to the right side under the glove of the second baseman Noah Dreyer. It trickles into right center field, and Maliska comes in to score. 1-0 St. Francis leads with only 1 out in the bottom of the first inning. Good start for the Fighting Saints. It was not hit all that hard by Murda, similar actually to the hit from John Simicek last inning. The difference being that Dreyer was able to get over on this. He tried to make a sliding stop to his left. If he had fielded it cleanly on that slide, he would have been able to get Murda at first. If he had not fielded it cleanly but at least had knocked it down, he would have kept Maliska from scoring. But he couldn't do either. The ball ended up hitting off his glove and going underneath it and into right center, and that allowed the run to score. 29th RBI this season for Jake Murda. And now it's Ryan Louthan taking strike 1. 2 of the first 3 batters have hits for the Saints. Louthan takes low, 1-1. St. Francis came into play today, 7-3 in conference. That got off to a hot start. They've dropped their last 3 conference games. Throw over to first, and Murda dives back in safely. Jake Murda, for all of his positive attributes offensively, is not a stolen base threat. He has not attempted one yet this year. There's a swing and a high pop-up near the home plate circle. It looks like it'll stay in play for Aaron Orzak, who tracks it back and makes the catch. Murda tags from first, slides into second, and he's out. Aggressive base running from Murda, trying to tag up from first base on a pop-up to the catcher. And Aaron Orzak was not caught sufficiently off guard. He makes a nice throw down to second to double him up and end the inning. But St. Francis does get a run on a pair of hits. And after one complete inning in Joliet today, our score is 1-0 Fighting Saints. 1-0 St. Francis after a quick first inning here at Slammers Stadium that nonetheless featured 4 hits. Noah Dreyer swings at the first pitch of the second. It's a soft one hopper over to Ryan Louthan at third, and his throw to first beats Dreyer by half a step. 1 away on the very first pitch of the top half of the second inning. Not an easy play for Louthan there. He charged it initially looking like he wanted to play it on the fly, but instead decided to wait back and scoop it on a bounce. It turned into a fairly tough hop because he was charging it. So it was a short hop for him. And his throw to first base just barely got Dreyer. So 1 away. Here's Trevor Corbett, rather. Trevor Corbett takes a strike, and the count is 0-1. Corbett this year is hitting .308 with 5 doubles, 13 runs batted in. The 0-1 from Otis misses upstairs for ball 1. I will say that the way the bottom half of the first inning ended was a new one on me. Jake Murdo was thrown out trying to tag from first base on a pop-up behind home plate. Fouled away, 1-2. You know, you often ask, how deep does a fly ball have to go before you consider tagging up? Which obviously depends on the runner and the game situation, the outfielder's arm, and all these many factors. But the answer to how deep is usually not negative feet. Ground ball over to first base, picked up by Maliska as he carries it to first base. There are 2 outs. You know, they say you watch baseball long enough, you'll always see something you've never seen before. And I have to admit, of the thousands of games I've ever broadcasted, I don't think I've ever written in my scorecard prior to today, foul out 2, double play. And that's what I did to end the bottom of the first inning. I'll have to save this scorecard. Strike 1 at the knees of Meyer. Center fielder Ben Meyer bats with 2 outs and nobody on. A .284 hitter. 1 homer, 15 runs knocked in this year. Otis looking for the first 1-2-3 inning of the game. Downstairs for a ball to even the count at 1. St. Xavier had a pair of hits in the first inning, but thanks to a fielder's choice and a double play, they never got anybody beyond first base. 1-1, drilled foul to the left side. Hard hit ball, but he was way out in front of it. The count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sunny day here in Joliet, but it's cool out. Don't let the visual fool you. Temperatures will be in the low 40s throughout the doubleheader today. Up high, ball 2. It's been a beautiful week. St. Francis played against Trinity Christian on Monday in cold temperatures. And then it was nice and warm for a couple of days while the Saints were off. Back at it today, and it's freezing again. Line drive into center field, and a hit for Meyer. Base hit into center field, a 2-out base runner for St. Xavier. Their 3rd hit of the game. They've all been singles. And now they'll try to mount a 2-out rally with their number 8 hitter, Bo Pollocky, coming up. That's just kind of the nature of springtime baseball. Some days it's nice and some days it isn't. You come to expect it. Pollocky swings the first pitch, and he lines it into center field. A carbon copy of the Meyer single. Back-to-back base hits for the Cougars. And for the first time today, they've got 2 men on base. It comes on back-to-back 2-out singles from the bottom of the order. Now a chance to knock in a run or 2. It's Max Waskevich coming up. Hitting .256 this year. Waskevich has 2 homers, 13 runs batted in. He's making his 16th start of the season. He takes strike 1 from Jack Otis. Waskevich is a junior from Willowbrook, Illinois. Not all that far away from here. Ball outside, 1-1. Maybe a half-hour drive. Although St. Xavier's not all that far away from here either. Maybe just over a half-hour drive, I would guess. 2 on, 2 out. The 1-1 pitch is taken up high. 2 balls and a strike. Nothing else. The Cougars are making Otis work here in the second inning, which didn't look like it was going to be the case when he got 2 outs on just 5 pitches. Now there are 2 on with 2 outs. A 2-1 count on Waskevich. He takes a strike to even it up. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on the bases in inning number 2. St. Xavier trying to match the run that St. Francis scored last inning. Grounder under the glove of the pitcher Otis. It's fielded by Montgomery, who tosses to first and gets the out. Waskevich came diving into first base, and he was not able to beat the throw. So despite back-to-back 2-out singles, St. Xavier doesn't score. They leave 2 on base. We'll go to the bottom of the second inning. 1-0, St. Francis has the lead. Dylan Scafuri leads off the bottom of the second inning for the Fighting Saints. St. Francis leads this game 1-0, and Scafuri takes strike 1 from Trent Markizich, the starting pitcher for St. Xavier, who threw only 7 pitches in the first inning, but allowed a run on 2 hits, and finds himself playing catch-up as a result. The 0-1 is rolled off the end of the bat over to third base. Pollocky tries to glove it, but he boots it, and Scafuri is safe at first. An error on the third baseman leads off the bottom of the second inning, and the Fighting Saints get their leadoff man on for the second consecutive frame. It was a softly hit ball, but Pollocky was playing in at third, close to even with the baselines, which meant that he didn't have to work all that hard to get to that ball. And if he had fielded it cleanly, he would have had an easy out at first base, but he just took his eye off the ball. And there's a man aboard in front of Ethan Fleming, who bunts at the first pitch, pops it sky high to the catcher, and Orzek makes the catch for the first out. Scafuri does not tag from first base. Typically you don't have to say on a pop-up to the catcher, but it happened last inning, so I'll keep my eye on it from here on out. Fleming is unsuccessful in trying to get the sacrifice down. That'll bring up Dominic Alberico. I should say I've commented on it several times now, but that pop-up to the catcher in which Murta tagged from first is such a strange play because you don't see it very often. It took a perfect throw from Orzek to get him. He almost beat the throw to second base. Dominic Alberico takes ball 1. Alberico is a 179 hitter. 1 extra base hit this year. Making his 12th start of the season. He skies it out to left field. Waskevich comes over on it, steps in a few paces, and makes the grab. 2 away. Another quick inning generated by Markizich so far. He's still got one out to get. But he's only thrown 5 pitches. He's got 2 outs with a man at first base. He's only thrown 12 pitches in the game in an inning and 2/3 innings. An inning and 2/3 pitched. He's thrown 12 pitches and faced 7 batters. Here's Christian Rosales. He swings at the first one, but gets a good piece of it and lines it into left field. The Saints remain ultra aggressive, and it pays off for Rosales, who has a 2-out single, putting men at first and second in front of the number 9 hitter, Mitchell Thomas. Thomas is a solid number 9 hitter. He's hit up higher in the order as well during his career at St. Francis. .280 batting average coming into play today with a homer and 10 RBIs. Comes up with 2 men on base and takes ball 1 outside. There's only one batter the first time through the lineup for St. Francis that has seen more than 2 pitches in an at-bat. So we'll see how aggressive Thomas is. He takes a ball inside, 2-0. So this is already tied for the longest at-bat of the game after this next pitch. And it is the first time today that Markizich has gone to 2 balls on any hitter. Fly ball into center field. Looks to be routine for Ben Meyer, who barely has to move to make the catch and retire the side. No runs despite a hit and an error. 2 are left on base as we go to the third. It's 1-0 St. Francis. Top of the order for St. Xavier, top of the 3rd inning. They trail St. Francis 1-0. And Shea Brozak leads things off, showing bunt, and he drops it down foul. Brozak looked to bunt his way aboard in the 1st inning as well. Eventually decided to swing away and hit what amounted to a bunt. It was an infield single. The 0-1 is slapped to right field, a base hit. We've seen right-handed hitters slapping it out to right all throughout this game so far. I know we're only in the 3rd inning. I think that's at least the 3rd. Is it maybe the 4th hit to right field by a right-handed batter? It's at least 3. I think it is 3 rather than 4. But there have been a lot of hits early in this game. 5 hits already for St. Xavier. St. Francis has 3. They've all been singles. Aaron Orzak digs in for the 2nd time today. Orzak hits it high in the air, left side of the infield. Ethan Fleming shields his eyes from the sun and makes the catch for the first out of the 3rd inning. When you hear that there have been 8 total hits through 2+ innings, you might think initially this has been a real offensive showcase so far. We couldn't be further from that. It has, in fact, been a very well-pitched game. Both pitchers are throwing a lot of strikes. Both of them are getting early contact. Hitters on both teams have been ultra-aggressive so far in this game. First pitch to John Simicek is delayed as a throw goes to first base instead. I think that comes from the fact that both of these pitchers are strike throwers. Markiezic, in particular, came in with 3 walks in 35 innings pitched this year. So you know he's not going to give up very many free base runners. Pickoff throw to first. Nearly got him. They did get him. Brozak is picked off at first base. He was leaning on the play, and a nice toss over by Jack Otis for the second out of the inning. The bases are empty with 2 away now. Simicek has yet to see a pitch. Now he's just trying to keep the inning alive as he takes ball 1 outside. Jack Otis came into play today with 11 walks in 30 innings pitched, so not quite as impressive as the number for Markiezic, but still a pretty good strike thrower going for St. Francis today. Speaking of which, it's now 1-1 on Simicek. When that's the case, when you know you're not going to get too many free passes, you might as well be aggressive if you're pretty confident that the opposing pitcher is going to be pounding the strike zone. There's a high fly, shallow right field. Towards the line, Rosales comes in, now steps back again and makes the catch to end the inning. Despite the leadoff single, a pickoff from Otis means that he faces the minimum in the top of the third. We'll go to the bottom of the frame. Still 1-0 St. Francis. One nothing St. Francis in the bottom of the third inning. Game 1 of a doubleheader. This one will go 9 and then 7 innings for game 2. Nate Maliska, Max Montgomery, and Jake Murda are the scheduled hitters for the Fighting Saints. Batting for the second time each against Trent Markiezic, whose first pitch is punched foul to the left. Strike 1 on Maliska. Fighting Saints, just 1 pitch into the third inning, remain aggressive. They have been jumping on Markiezic very early in the count through the first 2 innings. They've had 4 base runners and scored 1 run thus far. The 0-1 inside to even the count. Maliska started things off for the Fighting Saints in the first inning with a single. He's the guy who scored the game's only run. Came around 2 batters later on an RBI single from Jake Murda. The 1-1 pitch, fouled back, 1-2. Markiezic is really losing his touch. It'll take him no fewer than 4 pitches to get through this at bat. 7 of the first 9 batters in the game either reached base or were retired on the first or second pitch of their at bat. This is the longest battle of the game And it's getting even longer. Fouled off by Maliska, still 1-2. Nate Maliska came into play today with a .376 batting average. 6 extra base hits for him. He has been the top hitter at the top of the St. Francis lineup all year. .454 on base percentage. He flies this into shallow center field. Ben Meyer comes in on it, and Meyer makes the grab, 1 away. Got a crosswind today blowing from left to right. It's pretty breezy out there. I would say all things considered, the weather is going to affect hitters more than pitchers today. I guess it'll affect both of them the same, but it'll be a positive effect for pitchers and a negative effect for hitters. Max Montgomery digs in. No official at bat today, but an important plate appearance in the first inning. His sacrifice bunt led to the game's first run, and to this point, the only run. Ball outside, 1-0. We're still relatively early in the contest, so I don't want to make any bold claims, but that one run looks bigger all the time. Ball inside, 2-0. I'm not predicting a 1-0 final score, but anytime one team scores in the first inning, you never know exactly how impactful that one run is going to be. 2-0 misses up and in, 3-0. I was watching the White Sox Brewers opening day score yesterday, and the visiting team took a 1-0 lead on the first at bat of the game. I think they ended up losing by, 12 runs? So a first inning run, it feels good at the time. It doesn't always mean much in the long run. Strike called, 3-1. And again, we're only in the third inning, so I don't know what that first inning run will end up meaning for St. Francis in this game. But the way it's been pitched so far, it feels like it's probably going to end up being a close, low-scoring game. Popped up on the infield, right side. Noah Dreyer, John Simicek over on it. Dreyer backs up a few feet onto the outfield grass to make the catch. And that's the second out of the third inning. In a tight, low-scoring game like this, every run and every base runner is magnified. But again, we are only in the third, so this could still turn into an 11-8 game. Who knows? I would bet against it if I were a betting man. Here's Jake Murda. He of the lone RBI in today's game. Brought in a run on a first-inning single. Murda takes ball one. If you remember that hit, Murda hit it to the right side of the infield. Noah Dreyer tried to make a sliding stop and couldn't. And I said at the time, even if he didn't make the play, just by knocking the ball down, he would have kept that run from scoring. Murda takes high, 2-0. It would have put runners at first and third, and who knows what would have happened the rest of the inning. But what we do know is that the next batter popped out to the catcher. Fouled away, 2-1. So if things had proceeded as they did, we could be looking at a very different ball game right now had Dreyer just been able to knock it down. But he just missed it, and that's the difference in the game so far, just those few inches. 2-1 pitch. Inside, 3 balls and a strike. Back-to-back 3-ball counts from Trent Markizich, who's been pounding the strike zone early in today's game. We'll see if St. Francis can coax a base runner or two off of him here. Ball 4 inside. Jake Murda does indeed reach first base, becoming the first man in today's game to draw a walk. He is the 5th base runner of the afternoon for the Fighting Saints. And they'll try to start their 2-out rally with Ryan Louthan coming up. Louthan, the left-handed hitting third baseman, popped out to the catcher, ending the first inning, so he's 0 for 1. Ball outside, 1-0 on him. All of a sudden, Markizich is kind of losing his control. Look back over the last 3 batters, Louthan included, and he's thrown 8 balls against only 2 strikes. There's a fly ball into left center field. It's not going to find the gap. Instead, it finds the glove of Mascavich, who tumbles to the ground as he makes the catch. But he was able to hang on and end the bottom half of the third. Despite a 2-out walk, St. Francis does not threaten in their third time at bat. We'll go to the 4th inning. 1-0 St. Francis. Parker Violet, the designated hitter, leads off the fourth inning for St. Xavier. Cougars chasing a one-run deficit. The first pitch to Violet is taken for strike one from Jack Otis. Otis has been sharp early in today's game. He's allowed 5 hits through 3 innings, but every one of them has been a single. Only one man has made it as far as second base. Nobody has reached third yet for St. Xavier, as Violet takes ball 1 to even the count. Violet, Dreyer, and Corbett are due up in this fourth inning. Parker Violet is 0 for 1 with a groundout so far today. He takes a strike. It's 1-2. Otis doesn't have a strikeout yet today. Most of the outs have been recorded on the ground. 6 of 9 outs, in fact, have been ground balls. Ball outside, 2-2. Aside from the hits, most of which have been pretty soft singles, only one guy has hit the ball into the outfield. That was John Simichak, who flew out to right to end last inning. Borderline pitch on 2-2. Otis does not get the call, and the count goes full on Violet. First time Otis has had to work from behind a hitter on a 3-ball count. Payoff pitch coming, righty to righty. And it's taken for ball 4. About 3.5 bases per game. About 3.5 bases per game as a team. Dreyer bunts and misses. Snap throw down to first by Murda, and it's dug out of the dirt by the first baseman, Nate Maliska. The count is 0-2 on Dreyer, with Violet still over at first base. The stolen base percentage is just under 80 for the Cougars, and again, about 3.5 steals per game. They have not attempted one yet today, despite a load of base runners. Fly ball left center field. Backing up on it is Mitchell Thomas. Thomas gets under it and makes the grab for the first out of the inning. Violet trudges back over to first base after the first out is recorded. And it'll be Trevor Corbett who tries to get him over next. Corbett is 0 for 1. He grounded out to first base in the second inning. St. Xavier's had 6 base runners today. They have not attempted to steal yet. There are a couple of reasons for that, I think. Pickoff throw over to first sends Violet diving back to the bag, and that's part of the reason for it. Otis has shown off a pretty good pickoff move. I do think Brozak was probably looking to run when he was picked off in the third inning. Ball high, 1-0 on Corbett. The other primary reason, I think, that the Cougars have not been able to move on the base paths yet is because there have been so many quick at-bats. Maybe not as quick as with the Saints at-bat, but there have not been a lot of long counts early. Ball inside, 2-0. When you're standing at first base and there are not a lot of long counts behind you, it's hard to find the time to run. If you're not going on the first or second pitch, you may have lost your chance. 2-0 in there for a strike. It's 2-1. 1 out, nobody out. 1 on, man at first base. 1-0. St. Francis has the lead in the top of the fourth inning. They got their run on an RBI single from Jake Murda back in the first. 2-1. Breaking ball misses for ball 3. So after exhibiting near pinpoint control the first 3 innings, Otis is now grappling with falling behind guys. We'll see what Corbett can do with it. Good hitters count. 3-1. Corbett takes ball 4. Second walk issued this inning by Jack Otis. And the Cougars are threatening now. 2 on base, only 1 down. The batter is Ben Meyer. Meyer's got 15 RBIs this year. This may be the Cougars' best chance at scoring a run yet. First pitch to Myers, taken for a strike. He was looking to bunt, pulled the bat back at the last instant. The runner at second, Parker Violet, taking a good secondary lead, was looking to advance if Meyer had gotten that bunt down, which meant that Murda gave him a look for a pickoff play at second, but elected not to throw. Ball low and away to even it up at 1. It's the first time in the game that the Cougars have had a runner in scoring position with less than 2 outs. See if they're able to cash it in. Strike called, 1-2. Myers 1 for 1 with a single. A .284 hitter overall. The 1-2 way outside. Nice stop by Murda as it bounced in from the batter's box. He didn't let it get by him and therefore keeps the runners in place and, importantly, keeps the double play in order. Two and two. Foul back. Myers stays alive. This next pitch from Otis will be his 20th of the inning after just cruising through the first 3. Runners go. The pitch is swung on, grounded to the shortstop. Fleming's only play is at first. He makes the throw on the run and gets the out. But the runners advance. Corbett to second base. Violet to third. First time they've had a man at third base today, and we'll see if they can get him in and tie the score with their first run of the day. Bo Pollocky is the batter. Pollocky is a senior transfer from Heartland College down in central Illinois. Pollocky takes strike 1. He's a senior for St. Xavier and trying to come through in a big moment. .257 batter with 6 RBIs in 12 games started this year. The 0-1 misses away. The count is even. I'll reiterate what I said last inning. We're early yet, but the way this game has progressed, you would expect it to be a pitcher's duel at this point, which means if you're St. Xavier, you can't afford to let this opportunity go by without plating at least 1, if not 2 or more. Pollocky takes high, 2-1. Next pitch from Otis is swung on and missed. It's 2-2. It's been a tough inning for Otis, but he's 1 strike away from ending it. Runners at second and third, 2 down. No runs are in yet. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Otis has his first strikeout of the ball game, and it comes at a big moment in the top of the 4th with 2 on and 2 out. He sets Pollocky down, and the Cougars leave him at second and third base. We'll go to the bottom of the 4th inning. Our score remains St. Francis 1, St. Xavier nothing. 1-0 St. Francis. Bottom of the fourth inning. Dylan Scafuri leads things off. Fleming and Alberico will follow, facing Trent Marquisic, who's pitched well through 3 innings for St. Xavier. His first pitch to Scafuri misses for ball 1. Scafuri is 0 for 1 in the game officially, but he did reach base his first time up on an error. He hits this one in the air right behind the pitcher's mound. The third baseman comes in on it. That's Bo Pollocky making the catch. One quick out in the bottom of the fourth inning. Quick outs have been a specialty of Trent Marquisic today. That is the 5th batter who has been retired on either the first or second pitch of an at-bat today. That brings up Ethan Fleming. Fleming jumps on the first pitch, hits it hard but right at the right fielder. Shea Brozak has to go back only about a step and a half to make that grab. On 3 pitches, we've got 2 outs in the bottom of the fourth inning. That brings up Dominic Alberico. That's Dominic with a K. D-O-M-I-N-I-K. Alberico with a C. A-L-B-E-R-I-C-O. Just in case it ever comes up in a spelling bee, you'll be prepared. Alberico's 0 for 1. He flew out to left his first time up. This time he takes strike 1 from Marquisic. The Fighting Saints scored a run on a 1-out RBI single from Jake Murda in the bottom of the first inning. Now here we are, almost an hour later. That lone run is still holding up for St. Francis. Alberico takes strike 2 over the inside corner. 2 outs, nobody on. 0-2 on Alberico. Ball 1 low. Christian Rosales waits on deck, hoping Alberico can reach base and keep the inning going. A little too far inside this time from Marquisic. That evens the count at 2-2. 6 of the last 7 batters have been retired by Marquisic. Trying to keep that trend alive. His 2-2 offering is coming up. And it's tapped foul, so Alberico stays alive in the box. With 2 outs and nobody on base, Alberico tries to extend the inning and backs out of the way of a breaker inside, full count. Started him off 0-2. Marquisic since then has not been able to put him away, not yet. Alberico is trying to fight his way on base. He will see a 7th pitch in this at-bat. And it's a good one for him as it misses low for ball 4. So from 0-2, he works his way back into the at-bat and draws the 2-out walk. Second walk issued by Marquisic today. Both of them have come with 2 outs and nobody on. The last 2 innings. Now it's Christian Rosales. Rosales is 1 for 1 with a single. He takes ball 1 inside. Marquisic has missed on 5 of his last 6 pitches. Now a chopper down the third base line. It's foul. The count is 1-1. Saints have at least 1 base runner in every inning. 6 of them total. They've stranded 3 through the first 3. Blooper to shallow right field. Trouble for St. Xavier's. It drops in for a base hit. Alberico around second, heads for third. The throw is cut off, and the Fighting Saints have runners at the corners. Nice job by Christian Rosales to reach first base with 2 outs in the inning. Back-to-back base runners for the Saints. And now Mitchell Thomas might be able to extend their lead. Aggressive base running from Dominic Alberico. I was actually a little surprised that ball was cut off. I thought they may have had a chance to get him at third. Then again, I could be wrong. Mitchell Thomas digs in, swings at the first pitch, and wraps it foul to the right. First time in the game that the Fighting Saints have had a base runner at third base. Obviously, they've had somebody reach third base before because they have a run on the board. But this is the first time it's put pressure on a pitcher with a runner at third. Thomas flies it into shallow left. Looks like it'll stay on the infield, and the catch is made by the third baseman, Bo Pollocky, to retire the side. Despite back-to-back two-out base runners, the Fighting Saints don't score as they leave them at the corners. To the fifth we go. It's still 1-0, St. Francis. One nothing Fighting Saints after 4 innings complete in Joliet today. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call of St. Francis versus St. Xavier. First of a 4-game series. We'll have 2 today and then 2 tomorrow at St. Xavier. Max Waskevich drops down a bunt. It's foul. It got him in the batter's box after it bounced up off the ground. Strike one on the St. Xavier left fielder. Waskevich is 0 for 1. He grounded out to second base his first time up. Both offenses have put together stronger at-bats the second time through the batting order, but so far both starting pitchers have remained in control of this game. Ball outside, 1-1. Jack Otis pitched out of a rare jam in the 4th inning. It was the first time today that the Cougars got a man to third base. They had 2 on with only 1 out. 1-1 pitch clips the outside corner. It's 1-2. Otis goes into the windup and misses to even the count. 2 balls and 2 strikes. After Waskevich, we begin the third trip through the batting order. Brozak is on deck. Aaron Orzek will hit this inning, and if anybody reaches, John Simicek will get his third at bat of the game. 2-2. Ground ball to third base. Louthan gets in front of it, fires over to first, and there's the first out of the inning. 1 up, 1 down in the top of the 5th. And now we do move back to the top of the order, and Shea Brozak. St. Francis got a run in the bottom of the 1st inning. Who would have thought at the time that that would still be the lone tally on the scoreboard 4 innings later? Another strong start to an inning for for Otis, who fires strike 1 to Brozak. Brozak's had a couple of good starts to innings as well, though. This is the first time he's been up today in which he has not been leading off. He's 2 for 2 with a couple of singles. Shows bunt and takes a strike. He has routinely looked to bunt early in at-bats today. Hasn't gotten any hits that way, but as I mentioned, he is 2 for 2. And he flips this one into left field for another base hit. Dropping just in front of Dominic Alberico. He's 3 for 3, and a guy who is clearly very comfortable hitting from behind in the count because he's fallen behind in all 3 of his at-bats. And this time on an 0-2 pitch, is able to make some soft contact and find green space out in left field. A one-out base runner for SXU. We have not yet had a 1-2-3 inning in this game, which is weird to think about in a game that's just 1-0 in the 5th. And in a game in which the pitchers have felt all the way throughout like they've been the ones in control. Brozak was picked off of first base last time on, so he's quick to dive back to the bag this time. Doesn't want to fall for that one twice. Aaron Orzek takes a first pitch ball. Orzek grounded into a double play in the first inning. He popped out to the shortstop in the third. Righty versus righty, the 1-0. Strike called. It's 1-1. Both pitchers have really set the tone in this game. A lot of quick outs, a lot of soft contact. So even though there have been a ton of base runners, it just hasn't felt like either guy has been under pressure all that much. Ball 2 on Orzek, and there have been a lot of base runners. That hit for Brozak was his third of the game. It was the 6th hit overall for the Cougars. They've had 8 base runners through 4+ innings. Ball outside, 3-1. St. Francis has 4 hits through their 4 innings. They've had 7 base runners. Bottom line is neither pitcher's whip is going to look all that impressive at the end of the game. Pickoff throw to first, and Brozak dives back in. But if you have a choice of having a low whip or a low ERA, I think you'll take the low ERA most times, and both pitchers have looked good in that department today. 3-1 misses for ball 4. Third walk issued by Jack Otis. All 3 have come against the last 8 hitters he's faced, so his control has not been as sharp in the middle innings as it was in the early innings. And because Aaron Orzek is a catcher, he doesn't have to run for himself, so he's going to head back to the dugout, and we'll get a courtesy runner over at first base. That's Peyton Panazzo. That'll allow Orzek to get himself back in his catcher's gear and ready to take the field in the bottom of the 5th inning. Conference on the pitcher's mound prior to the next at-bat. 1-0 St. Francis leads, but the Cougars are threatening again with 2 on, 1 down, and the heart of the order coming up. This is a big moment for Jack Otis. 1-on-1 here against John Simicek. Simicek is 1 for 2 with a single and a flyout. Early in this game, Otis was getting ground ball after ground ball. He got a lot of them in the first few innings. Not as much lately, but he'd love to go back to his roots here. A ground ball could get him out of the inning. First pitch to Simicek misses low and outside for ball 1. Saints infield defense has turned 1 double play so far today. 1-0. Strike called over the outside corner. It's even. Panazzo is at first. Brozak is at second. Brozak with a Z, by the way. 2 Z's, technically. Z, B-R-O-Z-E-K. The first one is silent. Ball outside, 2-1. Maybe this isn't the best time to bring that up, but it's been gnawing away at me to remind myself not to say the first Z every time. 2-1 on Simicek. Good hitters count with 2 men on base. That's the tying run over at second. Otis knows that. He wants to keep him close to second as he turns around for a pickoff attempt. Makes a soft throw over to second base. Brozak easily back in safely. If Simicek can't get this tying run in, Parker Violet waits on deck. He'll bat next regardless. High bouncer to the pitcher's mound. Otis waits for it to come down, throws over to first, and gets the out. 2 away. Both runners advance. Panazzo to second, Brozak to third. But now Violet is the last hope for the Cougars in this 5th inning. It's a tough play for a pitcher, especially with runners on base. You see the ball hit on the ground, and your first thought, I think generally, is you want to see if you can get the lead runner. There was no chance of that there from Otis because it took such a high bounce. And there's nothing that you can do as a pitcher other than just wait for the ball to come down. Parker Violet takes ball 1 outside. By the time it finally did, Simicek was out by less than a step over at first base. It was a close play. But again, there's nothing more that Otis can do other than wait for that high hop to just complete its arc. Outside, 2-0. Dreyer is on deck. Otis doesn't want to walk Violet here, but he's a good run producer, a little bit better so far this year than Dreyer has been, albeit in more action at the plate. Dreyer's been SXU's best hitter at bat for at bat. There's a fly ball into center field. Chasing it back is Thomas, and Thomas is able to make the catch to end the inning. Another threat from St. Xavier, but again it comes up empty. They've left runners in scoring position in back-to-back innings. But at the halfway point of today's game, it's still 1-0 Fighting Saints. Top of the order for St. Francis, looking for some insurance in the bottom of the 5th, as they have held a 1-0 lead ever since their first time up. The lead at 1 run always feels tenuous, but even more so considering how hard St. Xavier's been knocking at the door. Meliska takes ball 1 low and in to begin the bottom of the 5th. Cougars have stranded 4 base runners in scoring position the last 2 innings. That's the max. Men left at second and third in both the 4th and 5th. They've stranded 7 base runners overall through 5 innings. Meliska lifts it into shallow left field. Backing up is the shortstop Corbett, and he makes the grab to retire the leadoff batter. St. Francis got their leadoff man on base in each of the first 2 innings. That's how they scored their run. But 3 straight innings since then. Markizic has been able to retire the first batter of the inning, setting the tone for the inning. And as a result, has been able to keep the Saints off the board, even though they, like St. Xavier, have had a lot of base runners. 5 stranded through 4 innings. Here's Max Montgomery, 0 for 1. Montgomery takes strike one at the knees. He popped out his last time up. Had a successful sacrifice bunt his first time up, which, if this were basketball, we'd call an assist. Or soccer or hockey, I guess. Volleyball, any sport really that has assists. Fouled away 0-2. But his bunt did directly lead to that run scoring one pitch later on a hit. Oh and 2 on Montgomery. Marquisic looks to put him away. Doesn't have a strikeout yet. Ball 1. We've seen just one strikeout overall in today's game. Bo Pollocky was fanned by Jack Otis with 2 runners on base to end the top of the 4th. The only K on either score sheet today. 1-2. Low ball 2. Jake Murda is on deck. If anybody reaches, it'll be Ryan Louthan to hit for the Fighting Saints this inning. St. Francis looking to snap a losing streak today. 2-2 pitch. Popped up, right side, foul ground. Simicek over near the St. Francis dugout. Watches it sail out of play. I don't know how much that one was affected by the wind. I don't think off the bat it ever really looked like it was going to land in play. But the wind is howling from left to right. So any ball hit in that area is going to probably end up in the seats. And that one, which looked like it might be borderline off the bat, ended up about 8 rows up. Ground ball up the middle, over second base and into center field. Max Montgomery has his first hit of the game, and the Fighting Saints have a 1-out base runner in the bottom of the 5th. Fifth hit of the ball game for St. Francis. They've all been singles. St. Xavier likewise has had only 1 base hits. So of our 11 hits in today's game, no doubles, no triples, no homers. Jake Murda wouldn't mind changing that as he bats for the 3rd time, trying to reach base for the 3rd time. He takes ball 1. Murda has an RBI single to his credit, the only one with an RBI. Last time around, he walked. One of 2 walks issued today by Marquisic. He had just 3 walks total in his first 6 starts of the year. Runner goes. Marquisic steps off the rubber, throws over to second, and gets the out. Montgomery left too soon, and so he is out number 2 as he's caught stealing 1-4. First stolen base attempt of the game for St. Francis. It is unsuccessful. This Saints team does not run nearly as often as St. Xavier does, but both teams now have had a guy cut down on the base paths. The 1-0. Called strike, 1-1. And both guys who have been cut down on the base paths have been cut down by pitchers. Neither team has had a catcher throw one out yet. But both pitchers have been sharp, making their moves on the mound. Both have been sharp pitching as well. 1-1 on Murda, 2 outs, bases empty. He hits a grounder to short. Picked up by Corbett. The throw to first is in plenty of time, and the inning is over. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, nobody left on base. 5 are in the books here in Joliet, and our score remains 1-0 St. Francis. Dreyer, Corbett, and Meyer are due up for St. Xavier in the top of the 6th inning. Still a long way to go in this game, but it's starting to get late, and it's still 1-0 St. Francis. Dreyer is 0 for 2. Ball 1 outside from right-hander Jack Otis, who's thrown 80 pitches through 5+ innings. Has run into a lot of trouble, but has gotten out of it every time. Fouled off to the right side, 1-1. Doesn't have a perfect inning yet. St. Xavier's had base runners every time around. These last couple of innings, they've been getting closer and closer to punching one through. They've gotten runners to second and third in each of the last 2 frames. Bunted foul by Dreyer, and the count goes to 1-2. Noah Dreyer, a .467 hitter coming in limited action, 14 for 30 at the plate. 10 of his 14 hits have gone for extra bases. But today he's 0 for 2 and trying to bunt his way on. The 1-2 misses high, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Again, he's only played 10 games, so some of the numbers are inflated compared to where they'll end up this year, but an .1167 slugging percentage is pretty impressive no matter how many at-bats you've had. He takes ball 3 outside. The count is full. A 3-2 count on the leadoff batter in the top of the 6th inning. Ball up and in, and for the second time in the last 3 innings, Jack Otis walks the leadoff man. 4 walks total in the game. And St. Xavier has an early threat developing once again. Trevor Corbett is coming up next. He walked his last time up. 0 for 1 in the contest. And again, Otis will be looking for that ground ball. First pitch fastball misses for a 1-0 count. First time on base for Dreyer. All but one member of the St. Xavier lineup has reached today. There is a ground ball to the right side, very softly hit. Montgomery throws to second, and they get the lead runner. So it turns out to be a nice play by Montgomery. The ball was hit softly off the end of the bat from Corbett to the extent that it was pretty clear from the beginning they were not going to be able to turn 2. Montgomery could have gotten the easier out at first base, but he ends up pivoting and firing to second instead to get the lead runner, and they are able to get Dreyer at second. So 1 away, 1 on, and the batter has been Meyer. Meyer drops down a bunt in front of the plate, and Murda can't make the play. So Meyer beats it out to first. Corbett advances to second, and there are 2 on with only 1 out. Murda may have rushed that one a little bit. It was a pretty solid bunt from Meyer. Down the first base line in between the pitcher's mound and home plate. And Murda, I think if he had taken his time, maybe would have had a play on it, but he didn't think so. He thought he had to rush it to get Meyer, and so he took a stab at it. I don't think the ball bounced quite as high as he thought it was going to. So it turns into a bunt base hit. Runners at first and second. 1 down. And the batter is Bo Pollocky, who takes strike 1. Pollocky is 1 for 2 with a single and a strikeout. He takes a ball inside, and the count evens up 1-1. Next pitch misses. 2 balls and a strike. Another big opportunity for SXU here. Runners at first and second, 1 out. It's their third consecutive inning in which they've put on at least 2 base runners. Ball 3, 3-1 on Pollocky. Bullpen is empty for St. Francis as Otis climbs up to 90 pitches for the game. Over 90 pitches now is the 3-1. Clips the outside corner. It's 3-2. Waskevich is on deck. Pollocky trying to get at least 1 run in right here and even up the score in the top of the 6th inning. 3-2 count. Big pitch coming from Otis. It's popped up, foul ground right side. Meliska over near the St. Francis dugout, and it's just out of play. So that goes back to the weather conditions I was just talking about. Very windy day, blowing from left to right across the field. And on balls hit to the right side, balls that on a day with no weather would probably land in play, they are easily getting out of play. That time just barely out of play, which means on a neutral day, I think that would have been an easy catch for Meliska. Instead, it remains 3-2, and Pollocky will see a 7th pitch. Popped up behind home plate this time. Back right in front of me and out of play. Unaffected by the wind that time. It was just hit backwards, that's all. Back-to-back 2-strike fouls by Pollocky. Long top of the 6th. Still just 1 out, but no runs are in for St. Xavier, not yet. Payoff pitch from Otis. Inside, he walks another. 5 walks issued the last 3 innings by Otis. And the bases are loaded with only 1 down. Big opportunity coming up for Max Waskevich. We'll have a meeting on the mound first. There's nobody warming up in the St. Francis bullpen, so we're not going to see a change here. Just a discussion before the number 9 batter comes up. Cougars have not hit the ball hard in this 6th inning. On the contrary, only 2 balls have been put in play, and they've both been a little bit too softly hit for St. Francis's taste. One was a ground ball that, if it had been hit a little bit harder, could have turned into a double play. The other was a bunt, which was a base hit for Ben Meyer. That's the only hit of the inning. The other 2 guys reached on walks. And that's been a big problem for Otis, who had pinpoint control early in the game. The first 3 innings, he didn't so much as have a 3-ball count on anybody. But the last 3 innings, Cougars have been a lot more patient. Long at bats, and they've been finding their way down to first base. 5 walks through the last 2 1/3 innings issued by Otis. And now he's in some trouble trying to protect a 1-run lead. He'll face the pinch hitter for St. Xavier, Jackson Michko, trying to drive in some runs. Big right-handed bat takes strike 1. Michko is a .409 hitter. He's 9 for 22 this year. 6 of his 9 hits have gone for extra bases, including 2 home runs. He's got 8 RBIs, and he swings and misses. It's 0-2. Otis has just 1 strikeout today. He could use 1 right now. Michko has fanned just 3 times in his 22 at-bats this year, but he's in a hole. 0-2. Otis sets for the next one. Just outside, ball 1. 1-0. St. Francis has led ever since the first inning. St. Xavier's got their best threat yet. 3 men on base, only 1 out. 1-2 on Michko. He rolls it back towards the pitcher. Otis picks it up, throws home, and he throws it away. The tying run scores. Now Corbett slides across home plate. He's safe as well. Meyer scores the go-ahead run. Corbett scored the tying run, And now it's 2-1 St. Xavier on the throwing error from Otis. A 2-run tapper back to the mound. It was not necessarily an easy play for Otis. He had to move towards first base in order to glove that ball, reposition his body, and throw home. But a good throw would have gotten the force out. And instead, he's wild, and that's been Otis's problem these last 3 innings. He's been wild. 5 walks, and now a throwing error. No RBI for Michko. He does make it to second base, and then he departs. Moskevich comes back in to pinch run in his own spot in the batting order. And we're back to the top of the order in Brozak. Shea Brozak takes strike 1. Pollocky moved up to third base on the play, so that's where he stands right now. 2 runs are in. They still have not hit the ball out of the infield this inning. 4 base runners, 2 runs are in. And the farthest anybody has hit the ball this inning was about 75 feet. The 0-1 to Brozak, who has not been retired yet today, is fouled off to the right side, 0-2. Brozak is 3 for 3 with 3 singles. Rolled off the end of the bat to the first base side. It's foul. Still 0-2. So Otis has walked 2 in the inning, but he seemed to find his control again against Michko. Got ahead of him 0-2, and now he's gotten ahead of Brozak 0-2 as well. Had it not been for the error, he'd be in good shape to get out of this inning. Instead, there's still just 1 out. Ball outside, 1-2, and St. Xavier is looking to pile on. They've already taken the lead away after trailing for the first 5 innings. "25 pitches this inning for Otis. He's over 100 now for the game. Check swing on a ball outside. It's 2-2. For the first time, the Fighting Saints do have a right-hander loosening up down the right field line. Sixth pitch of this at-bat with first base open, the infield in. Swung on and missed, strike 3. A big strikeout for Otis, 2 down. Second strikeout of the game for the St. Francis right-hander. And now Otis will attack Aaron Orzak to try to get out of the inning. It's been a rough inning for him, but if he can get Orzak, he'll send his offense back to the plate down by just 1 run. Orzak is 0 for 2 with a walk. He takes ball 1 outside. 2-1 St. Xavier. Both runs have come this inning. And it has happened without them hitting the ball out of the infield. Called strike 1 to even it up. 2 walks, a bunt single, and an error. That's how they've gotten the 2 runs. Outside and off the glove of Murda. Stays in front of him, however. The runners are not able to move up. It's 2-1. Prior to this 6th inning, the story of the game for St. Xavier's offense was no clutch hits. They haven't gotten one this inning either, but they did get the clutch runs. Leaving runners on base has been a big problem for them. 2-1. Ground ball to the left side. Louthan scoops it up on a couple of hops and throws to first to retire the side. So the Cougars do get 2 runs this inning, but the trend continues as they leave runners at second and third for the 3rd straight inning. Otis is able to pitch out of the jam and keep his team in the ball game as we head to the bottom of the 6th. 2-1, St. Xavier. For the first time today, St. Francis is playing catch-up. They trail 2-1 as we move into the bottom of the 6th inning. Louthan, Scafuri, and Fleming due up. Fighting Saints got a run in the bottom of the 1st inning. I don't think they ever felt like that one run was going to stand up the whole game as Louthan lines it right to the first baseman. Simicek makes the catch for the first out of the inning. A rifle off the bat of Louthan on the very first pitch of the 6th. But it goes St. Xavier's way. 1 up, 1 down in the 6th inning. That'll bring up Dylan Scafuri, the number 5 batter and DH. He's 0 for 2. First pitch to Scafuri is taken for strike 1. As I was just saying, I don't think the Saints ever felt comfortable with that 1-run lead, like you got one at the bottom of the 1st and you're done for the day. I think they always felt like they were going to have to add on. But now it has become an absolute necessity as they trail 2-1. Grounder over to first base. Another opportunity for Simicek. He carries it to the bag himself. 3 unassisted. 2 outs on just 3 pitches from Trent Markizic here in the 6th. He's been very good today, Markizic. Good game for Jack Otis as well. I imagine he's done for the day. Now over 100 pitches and struggling these last few innings. Quinn McGuire continues to throw in the bullpen, so we will apparently see him in the 7th. As Ethan Fleming fouls off the first pitch for strike 1. Markizic does not have a 1-2-3 inning today, although this is the 3rd time he's had a 1-2 inning as Fleming lines it into left field. It sinks but not fast enough as Waskevich comes in and makes the grab. So for the first time, he is able to get that 3rd out consecutively. And a very quick bottom of the 6th inning. Saints go down quietly. 3 innings still to play in Game 1 of today's doubleheader. It's 2-1, Cougars on top. In the top of the 7th, our score is 2-1. St. Xavier has the narrow lead, and the Fighting Saints have made their first move to the bullpen, bringing in senior right-hander Quinn McGuire on for the team-leading 10th time. He has no record and a .695 ERA. He faces John Simicek to lead off the inning and misses for ball 1 to begin his 10th appearance of the season. 22 innings this year for McGuire. He's allowed 22 runs, 17 of them earned on 23 hits, 10 walks, 7 strikeouts. Soft foul ball hit by Simicek. The count evens 1-1. Simicek is 1 for 3 with a base hit today. Good game for Jack Otis, who will not pick up a win. He is currently in line for the loss, but he's hoping that the offense will back him out of that. 1-1 misses low, 2 balls and a strike. 6 innings pitched for Otis. He allowed 2 runs, though neither of them was earned, thanks to his own error last inning. Gave up 7 hits, struck out 2, and his undoing was 5 walks. Strike called 2-2. In particular, the 2 walks that he handed out in the 6th inning. That's when both of St. Xavier's runs scored. It was a weird way to score 2 runs. They only had 1 hit in the inning, and it was a bunt single. Ground ball to Louthan. He's had a busy day over at third. He charges, gloves, throws low, and it's not dug out by Nate Maliska. John Simicek is safe at first. Simicek runs well for a power-hitting number 3 hitter. Louthan knew that, had to rush the throw to first base, and despite the artificial turf here, which typically gives a pretty good bounce, whether off the bat or off the throw, Maliska wasn't able to pick it. And that brings up Parker Violet for the 4th time today. Leadoff man reaches for the 2nd straight inning. And the 4th time in the last 5 innings for St. Xavier. McGuire makes a pickoff attempt over at first, and Simicek gets back in. Violet is 0 for 2 with a walk. Big runner over at first base. Markizic has been really good for St. Xavier. Cougars do not have anybody throwing in the bullpen, so we can safely assume that he'll be back out there to start the 7th inning. Strike call, 0-1 on Violet. The next pitch breaks inside, 1-1. But for as tight and well pitched as this game has been, St. Francis right now cannot afford to go down by any more than the 1 run they already trail by. Simicek is being watched like a hawk over at first base. He's got 15 steals this year in 18 attempts. Sharp hit ground ball to third. Backhanded stab by Louthan. He throws across the diamond and does not get the out. The throw pulls Maliska off the bag. It was a good play at third by Louthan. He did the hard part, but he couldn't finish the easy part. The play was never called dead, and so Simicek keeps moving. He heads over to third base, and he makes it in as St. Francis fell asleep on him over at second. So back-to-back errors on Ryan Louthan put 2 men on base for St. Xavier. And Brian Mahalik wants an explanation as to why Simicek was allowed to take third. Umpires will discuss it and determine whether or not the play was dead. I think at issue was the fact that Maliska was voicing his displeasure with the call at first base. He thought he had held the bag long enough. But that alone is not enough to kill a play. And they do rule that Simicek heading to third base was legal, which makes sense. I don't see any way you really can refute that. That was just poor awareness by St. Francis on that play. And good awareness by Simicek. Now the runner takes off for second, and this time the Saints are ready for it. McGuire steps off and throws Violet out at second base. And they are sending Violet back to first. So I'm not sure what the call is here. McGuire had the ball on the mound, and Violet took off for second, and apparently they're saying he was not allowed to go yet. In that case, it would have been a dead ball, but I don't know why. Unless time had been called in the batter's box and I didn't see it, but I don't know. Violet tried to catch the Fighting Saints napping. It didn't work, but his stolen base attempt was ruled to have been illegal. There's a bunt back to the pitcher. McGuire bobbles it, throws to first, and it's not in time. That's 3 straight errors on the Saints. And the runner over at first base Noah Dreyer collapsed to the ground after passing first. He's down in shallow right field right now. This is bad all around. Bases are loaded for St. Xavier on 3 straight Fighting Saints errors, and now one of the Cougars' best hitters, Noah Dreyer, is down in shallow right. I didn't see if he stepped on first base awkwardly or if he took an awkward step after first base, but he collapsed out in shallow right field. He already was running a little bit gingerly before that. Dreyer appearing in just his 11th game of the season today. He's up on his feet, so that's good to see, but not walking very comfortably. He is walking under his own power. So that's a major positive for St. Xavier, but it is a very uncomfortable walk back towards the third base dugout. A pretty noticeable limp. So he will be done for this game and presumably the rest of the day, if that's as serious as it looks to be right now. Hopefully it's not too serious, but obviously in no shape to do any running for the moment. So hopefully we'll see him again soon, but I'd be surprised, just based on the way he's walking right now, if it is today. Caleb Navarro, the freshman outfielder, is going to come in as the pinch runner for Dreyer. So I don't know if Navarro will stay in the game to play second base or if we'll see some more maneuvering from Pat Morrow, the St. Xavier head coach. But for now, it's Navarro at first. Violet's at second. Simicek is at third. St. Xavier, in the last 2 innings, has had 6 base runners. Actually, make that 7. They've had 7 base runners the last 2 innings, still without hitting the ball out of the infield, which is pretty amazing. Last inning, it was a bunt single, 2 walks, and an error. This inning, 3 straight errors. And a meeting on the mound before Trevor Corbett digs in with a chance to break the game open. St. Francis has had the lead pretty much the whole game, but St. Xavier's turned it on its head. They've got the lead and the momentum and the base runners right now. Weird inning. It started with what was not an easy play from Louthan. He had to charge it and make the throw on the run. But a good throw would have gotten the first out of the inning, and it bounced in, so Simicek was safe at first. Then a hard hit ball to third. Louthan again made a good play. Nice backhanded stop, but had plenty of time to set his feet and make a throw to first, and it was a wild throw again. Trevor Corbett steps in and takes strike 1. And then Dreyer dropped down a bunt back to the pitcher, and McGuire just bobbled it. By the time he made the throw to first, it was late. Strike called on Corbett, 0-2. The real problem is that there was a runner at third base. So when Dreyer dropped down that bunt, McGuire took his eye off the ball to look the runner back to third before he had secured it. And that's what led to the bobble. The 0-2 is grounded to short. The throw is going to come home, and they get the out there. So a 6-2 fielder's choice. Corbett is safe at first. Navarro moves to second. Violet to third base. And Simicek is thrown out on the fielder's choice for the first out of the inning. A big first out for the Fighting Saints. Nicely played by the shortstop, Ethan Fleming. With 1 out now, the middle infielders are able to back up. Corner infielders have to remain in. And the batter is Ben Meyer. Meyer takes a breaking ball inside, 1-0. He had the bunt single as part of that 2-run 6th inning rally. Strike over the inside corner, 1-1. To go back to the bunt this inning and that error on McGuire, I mentioned he was trying to look the runner back to third, and that's what led to him bobbling the ball. But I think the other problem is then after he did finally pull the ball in, he looked him back to third base again to make sure he wasn't trying to score. And by that point, it was too late to make an accurate throw to first base. 2-1 on Meyer. I shouldn't say an accurate throw. It was accurate. It just wasn't on time. Bases full of Cougars with one out in the top of the seventh. McGuire's trying to get out of this with a ground ball. 2-1. Downstairs, 3-1. Cougars have a 2-1 lead. They've also left 9 men on base, so clutch hitting has not been their forte today. And McGuire's trying to keep it that way. 3-1. Ball 4. McGuire walked in a run. 3 errors and a walk. Not the way you draw it up as an offense, but you'll take your runs any way you can get them. And St. Xavier has extended their lead to 3-1. That's obviously an unearned run on McGuire. Any runs that score this inning will be unearned because of all the errors. 4 of them in the game now on the Saints. They've all led to runs. Strike 1 called on Pollocky. Bo Pollocky is 1 for 2 with a single and a walk. He falls behind in the count early here. The 0-1 misses inside. Ball 1. McGuire's still a ground ball away from getting out of this inning. But on the flip side, St. Xavier is 1 hit away from putting themselves in total control. Just missed for ball 2. Another hitter ahead in the count with the bases full. St. Francis led 1-0 as late as the 6th inning. But it's been all St. Xavier since. Long times at bat. Tapper back to the mound. McGuire tosses home for the out. Murda looks to first base, but he decides not to make the throw. Didn't want to risk it. So the inning continues, but another force out at home. It's the second time this inning that the Saints have been able to get a force out at home on a fielder's choice. The bases remain loaded. And Max Waskevich comes up next. He came up with the bases loaded last inning as well, and they pinch hit for him. This time they will let him hit. Waskevich takes ball 1 outside. This kind of felt like the bases have been loaded this whole inning. 2 fielders' choices, but they've both cut down the runner at home, so the bases have remained full. Ball in the dirt. Nice block by Murda. The count is 2-0. You understand where Quinn McGuire was coming from on that last play. Wanted to make sure he got the out at home. So he made a nice, easy toss to the plate. If he had moved just a little bit quicker, though, maybe they could have turned 2. I think that wasn't really on his mind. He just wanted to make sure they got 1 out, which was the most important thing, and they did get that 1 out. Waskevich takes strike 1. Corbett's at third, Myers at second, Pollocky is at first. The 2-1 pitch. Strike 2 called, and the Cougars are down to their last strike of the 7th inning. In the bottom of the 7th, Alberico, Rosales, and Thomas are due up for the Fighting Saints. They'll have some work to do. 2-2 pitch from McGuire. Ground ball to short. Gloved by Fleming. The throw to first is low, but Meliska this time is able to pull it out. And the inning comes to a close. Bases left loaded by St. Xavier, but they do get 1 run across without a hit. 3 errors, 3 left on. We'll go to the bottom of the 7th at the stretch. It's 3-1 St. Xavier. Bottom of the 7th, St. Xavier leads by 2, and they'll try to protect that lead with their starting pitcher, Trent Marquisic, still on the mound. Alberico, Rosales, and Thomas, the 7, 8, 9 batters, due up for St. Francis. Been a little while since the Fighting Saints have had anything going on offense. See if that changes here as Marquisic misses inside for ball 1. Going back to the top of the 6th inning, St. Xavier has scored 3 runs. They've had 8 base runners. They've had 14 men come to the plate. That ball is lined deep down the left field line. That's a foul ball by just a few feet. Alberico just missed an extra base hit. Instead, it's a 1-1 count. So if you take those 2 half innings for St. Xavier, the top of the 6th, top of the 7th, again, 3 runs, 8 base runners, 14 batters have come up. And during that same time period, St. Francis has had 3 batters come up and 5 pitches thrown. That was, of course, prior to the Alberico at bat. This will be the 3rd pitch to him, 1-1. Ground ball to third base, played cleanly by Pollocky, who fires across the diamond in time for the out. 5 straight retired by Marquisic. I know I was comparing a time period there in which St. Xavier had 2 chances to bat and St. Francis only had 1, but the point is just that over the last 45 minutes or so, it has been all St. Xavier. There's time for St. Francis to turn it around. They've got 8 outs to play with. Christian Rosales is the batter, 2 for 2 with 2 singles. This time, though, a grounder to the shortstop. Corbett gathers and throws. A couple of quick outs here in the 7th. Game high 6 in a row retired by Marquisic, who's been getting better and better as this game has gone on. And he'll look for his 2nd straight perfect inning going against the St. Francis center fielder, Mitchell Thomas. Thomas has flown out and popped out. He's 0 for 2. He bounces it off his foot. That's not all that comfortable, especially on a cold day like this. Strike 1 on Thomas. It has gotten colder, not necessarily because the temperature has dropped. It's been pretty steady, but the sun is gone for the moment. Maybe back at some point, but it's hidden behind the clouds right now. And on a chilly day, that sun makes a big difference, but none of the field is covered in sunshine right now. 0-1 on the number 9 hitter, Thomas. Strike 2 called. And Marquisic is 1 strike away from another very quick 7th inning. Two outs, nobody on the 0-2. Swing and a miss, and the inning is over. Marquisic has been good all day, but here in the bottom of the 7th, he gets even better. His first strikeout of the ball game. He's retired 7 in a row, and the Saints trail 3-1 as we head to the 8th in Joliet. Top of the 8th inning at Slammers Stadium in Joliet. Two of the top offenses in the CCAC are locked up in a pitcher's duel here, as the Saints call on their third pitcher of the game, Cody Nold, making his 7th appearance, 6th as a reliever. He has no record, a 6.75 ERA. Nold's first pitch misses inside for ball 1. Cody Nold is a senior from Plainfield, Illinois, right down the road. He's facing Shea Brozak, and he finds the strike zone for the first time. It's 1-1. In 6 2/3 innings this year, Nold has allowed 5 runs on 9 hits, 5 strikeouts, 4 walks for him. 1-1 finds the outer third of the plate, 1-2. Quinn McGuire pitched the 7th inning, allowed 1 run. It was unearned on 3 errors. Line drive into center field, a base hit for Brozak, his 4th hit of the ball game. Another base runner for St. Xavier. They've had lots of them today. Just the 3 runs scored, so you wouldn't think of this as a dominant offensive attack for St. Xavier. Their clutch hitting hasn't been all that they'd like it to be, but that's their 18th base runner of the game. They've stranded 12 through 7 innings. They do hang on to win this one. I don't think there are going to be too many tears shed in the St. Xavier dugout about 12 runners left on base. As Aaron Orzak steps in and takes strike 1. If, on the other hand, St. Francis is able to come back and score some late runs and steal this one away from the Cougars, then all those runners left on, I think, are going to stick with them for a while. Pickoff throw to first, and Brozak dives back in. No attempted stolen bases today for Brozak, despite 4 hits. He has been picked off once. On 0-1, Nold finds the zone to make it 0-2 on Orzak. Aaron Orzak is 0 for 3 with a walk. Pickoff attempt to first. Brozak gets back to the bag. About a half hour after this game ends, we'll have Game 2 of today's doubleheader. Game 2 will be a 7-inning contest. Line drive down the left field line. It's foul. Still 0-2. This game was flying by early. The first 3 innings were completed in about a half hour. Both pitchers were on their game. Markizich for St. Xavier, Otis for St. Francis. Both of them throwing a lot of strikes, getting quick outs. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Orzak goes down swinging. 3rd strikeout of the ball game for St. Francis pitching. 1 away in the 8th. The game turned in the middle innings, but only for one side. Markizich has continued to work quickly, get quick outs. In fact, he's been even better the last couple of innings than he was early in the game. Otis lost his control in the middle innings. First pitch from Nold to John Simicek. Strike 1 called. After pounding the strike zone early on, Otis ended up walking 5 guys over his final 3 innings. That did come back to burn him. All 3 runs, however, scored by St. Xavier in today's game have been unearned against St. Francis pitching. So coming into play today, Saints had one of the top offenses in the conference. They were near the bottom in pitching. But today they've allowed 0 earned runs through 7 1/3 innings. That ball's fisted to first base. Maliska fakes the throw to second, carries it to first base instead. 2 down in the inning. 3 unassisted on the out. Brozak advances to second base. Parker Violet is St. Xavier's last hope in the 8th. I said that Maliska faked a throw to second base. The word fake makes it seem intentional on his part, like he was trying to fool somebody. In fact, I think he wanted to throw to second, but immediately realized that that was a very difficult play, and it'd be a lot smarter just to take the easy out at first. So he caught an audible mid-play. It all worked out for the Fighting Saints as Parker Violet takes ball 1 outside. Violet is 0 for 3, but he has walked and reached on an error. Everybody in the Cougars lineup has reached base at least once today. 1-0 pitch from Nold. Strike called to even it up. Top of the order to up for St. Francis in the 8th inning. So their 1 through 6 hitters will all bat at least once more. That gives them a legitimate fighting chance over the final 2 frames. But Nold wants to make sure it's still a 2-run game. That ball's lined softly into center field. It bounces in for a base hit. Here comes Brozak around third base. He scores standing up. A 2-out RBI hit for Parker Violet makes it 4-1. First clutch hit of the game for St. Xavier. And that was, in fact, the first time that anybody for the Cougars has hit the ball. I'd say it's the first time anybody's hit the ball hard since maybe the 5th inning. Brozak had a hit earlier this inning as well as it's fouled away by the new St. Xavier hitter, Caleb Navarro, for strike 1. Navarro came on as a pinch runner for Noah Dreyer. Dreyer was hurt, reaching base on an error last inning. So this is Navarro's first at-bat of the game. The 0-1 misses outside, 1-1. The Cougars have added to their lead. They've scored in 3 consecutive innings. The RBI single for their DH Parker Violet is the first run they've gotten today that will go earned against one of their pitchers. Violet leads from first. The 1-1 to Navarro is fouled off, 1-2. Caleb Navarro is a freshman, hitting .240 for the season, 6 for 25. 1 home run, 5 RBIs. Nobody throwing in the bullpen right now for St. Xavier. Their starter Markizic is only at 71 pitches through 7 innings. They'll come out with at least a 3-run lead for the 8th as that ball is grounded over to the shortstop. Fleming is able to glove it cleanly and throw out Navarro at first base. So the inning comes to a close. St. Xavier gets a run, though, on 2 hits. They leave a man at first. On our way to the bottom of the 8th, it's now 4-1 SXU. Trent Markizic is back to the mound for St. Xavier. The starting pitcher for the Cougars has scarcely been in trouble today. He's thrown 1 complete game this year, potentially looking for a second today. He's still 6 outs away, but he's only thrown 71 pitches. He's retired 7 batters in a row, so he's going through his best stretch of the game right now as he faces the top of the Saints order for the 4th time. Nate Maliska swings at the first pitch and soars it into shallow center. Meyer steps in and makes the catch. One pitch, one out in the eighth. The batter is Max Montgomery. Montgomery is 1 for 2. He singled his last time up. Also has a sacrifice bunt earlier in the game. He takes a first pitch strike. St. Xavier's in such control right now. They've scored in 3 consecutive innings. Their pitcher is on a roll. It's easy to forget at this point that St. Francis led the majority of this game. Montgomery takes ball 1 to even the count. Saints took a lead with a run in the bottom of the first inning, and they held on to that 1-0 advantage all the way into the 6th. Montgomery takes a strike and falls behind 1-2. St. Xavier, with a little help from the Fighting Saints defense, has been able to pour on the runs these last few innings. Fouled away and out of play. Still 1-2. Saints fell on Monday against Trinity Christian in a wild 10-9 final. Hopper over the head of the pitcher, charging as the second baseman, Washkevich, and he does not have a play at first. So Montgomery is aboard, taking a page out of the playbook from St. Xavier. Just hit it softly on the infield and leg it out. Infield single for him. And the Fighting Saints have a runner at first base with 1 away. Washkevich, by the way, is at second base because Caleb Navarro, when he came in for Noah Dreyer earlier in the game, moved into left field. So Washkevich, who started in left field, moved in to play second base. That was his first attempt and was not able to make the play. Jake Murda steps in and takes ball 1. The infield hit for Montgomery is the first base runner for St. Francis since Montgomery himself singled back in the 2nd. It ends a string of 8 straight retired. The 1-0 to Murda misses for ball 2. Fastball over the inside corner. And the count goes to 2-1. Still just a 3-run game here. Fighting Saints are 1 base runner away from bringing the tying run up. Ryan Louthan stands on deck. Toss to first base. And the runner steps back to the bag. Just talking about the game on Monday that St. Francis lost. 10-9 was the final score. They had a big early lead and couldn't hold on to it. Trinity Christian scored 6 runs over the last few innings unanswered. So the Fighting Saints are trying to pull that trick to St. Xavier today, coming from behind with late offense. Strike called on Murda, 2-2. And in doing so, they're trying to snap a losing streak. They lost 3 of 4 last weekend against Olivet Nazarene. Two. Hard grounder to short. Picked up by Corbett, who flips to second for 1 out. The relay throw is in time to double up Murda and retire the Saints in the bottom of the 8th. Saints finally get their first base runner in a while, but he's erased just a few pitches later on a double play. And we'll go to the 9th. St. Xavier leads it 4-1. We've reached the 9th inning in Game 1 of today's doubleheader. St. Xavier has a 4-1 lead. They're looking to add a few more to put it away against a new St. Francis pitcher, the sophomore left-hander Noah Munson, making his 4th appearance on the mound this year. Munson's first pitch finds the outside corner for strike 1 on Trevor Corbett, batting for the 5th time today. Munson works quickly. Corbett flies it into right field. Rosales steps in and makes the catch. A quick first out here in the 9th inning. Munson entering today in his 3 appearances had tossed 7 innings and allowed 7 runs, 6 of them earned, on 14 hits with 3 walks and 2 strikeouts. He is the 4th Fighting Saint to appear on the mound in this game. Jack Otis went 6 innings, allowed 2 unearned runs. Quinn McGuire went 1 inning and allowed 1 unearned run. Ben Meyer takes strike 1. And then the 8th inning was worked by Cody Nold. 1 inning for Nold, 2 hits, 1 run allowed. It was earned. No walks, 1 strikeout. Meyer takes strike 2. So just 1 of the 4 runs scored by St. Xavier today has been earned against St. Francis. Will do wonders for the team ERA. Check swing, Meyer did not go around. Count is 1-2. The team ERA is one thing that the Fighting Saints would prefer to do wonders for the win column. They'll need a 9th inning comeback if they want one of those. Still nobody throwing in the bullpen for St. Xavier. Markizic has been rolling. Ball 2 on Meyer, 2-2. Remember, Game 2 is coming up about a half hour after this one ends. It'll be a 7-inning contest, assuming it doesn't go to extra innings. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Nice work so far for Munson. 2 up, 2 down against him. 4th strikeout of the ball game for St. Francis pitching. St. Francis's offense has still only struck out once today. So not a lot of strikeouts in the game overall. Both teams have been putting the ball in play pretty consistently. Bo Pollocky steps in, 2 outs, nobody on. And Pollocky takes ball 1. There's not been a 1-2-3 inning yet. The 3rd inning came close. Otis gave up a leadoff single, but erased the runner on a pickoff. Fouled off to the right side off the screen, 1-1. Pollocky has singled and walked today. He's also struck out and grounded into a fielder's choice. Ball 2-1 with Waskevich on deck. Ground ball back up the middle and out to center field. It's a hit for Pollocky. Play could have been made potentially by 2 guys. It was not an easy play for either one of them. It was hit hard right back to Munson, and he wasn't able to get down on it quite quickly enough. If it had been hit just a little bit softer, I think Munson would have had a play. But once it got underneath his glove, Montgomery made a diving effort for it, but even if Montgomery had pulled it in, he might not have had a play at first base. Waskevich swings at the first pitch, grounds it over to second base. Montgomery tosses to first, and it ends the inning. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left for St. Xavier in the 9th. Last chance coming up for St. Francis. They trail 4-1. Bottom of the ninth inning, last hope for St. Francis. They'll send Ryan Louthan, Dylan Scafuri, and Ethan Fleming to the plate against Trent Markizic, a senior right-hander who has been dominant today for St. Xavier and is looking for his second complete game of the season. He's at just 82 pitches as he starts the ninth inning. The first one in the ninth is swung on and missed by Louthan. Ryan Louthan is 0 for 2. He's popped out, flown out, and lined out. I think that's every way you can go out in the air. The 0-1 finds the outside corner, 0-2. St. Francis led this game 1-0 in the sixth. St. Xavier scored 2 runs in the sixth, 1 in the seventh, 1 in the eighth. Tapped foul by Louthan, still 0-2. Markizic has thrown one other complete game this year. That was in a 7-inning ball game back in February. So he's already set a season high in innings pitched, but he's trying to get his first 9-inning complete game. Fouled away by Louthan. Nice job fighting. After he fell behind 0-2, he keeps the at-bat alive. Still just a 3-run game. For as good as Markizic has been, the Saints aren't out of it. Probably should be a little bit more than a 3-run game, considering how many base runners St. Xavier's had. As there's a sharp grounder, but right at the second baseman. Moskowicz throws to first. Louthan is retired. 1 away in the ninth. The Saints had a lot of chances early in the game as well that they weren't able to capitalize on. They stranded 5 base runners in the first 4 innings. None since then, though. St. Xavier's left at least 1 man on base in all but 1 inning today. They've left 14 runners in total. They've had 20 base runners in the game. High pop-up hit by Scafuri, third base side, and out of play. Strike 1. Didn't get out of play by much, but it did clear the railing in front of the St. Xavier dugout. Pollocky ran out of room. 0-1 on Scafuri as the wind picks up again. It's tapped foul, 0-2. Markizic has walked 2 in today's game, which is a high number for him. But you take away those 2 walks, he's only had 1 other at-bat the entire game in which he's even thrown as many as 3 balls. He's been ahead of pretty much every hitter today. Scafuri fouls it off. Both of the first 2 hitters he's faced in the ninth have fallen behind 0-2. Another 0-2. Scafuri takes ball 1 to keep the at-bat alive. Ethan Fleming is up next. Fighting Saints, if they want to win this game, will have to send a few more hitters after him to the plate as well. Foul tipped by Scafuri. He stays alive. Another good at-bat for a Saints hitter. If nothing else, trying to carry some offensive momentum into Game 2 today. Again, that'll begin approximately a half hour after this one ends. Another 1-2 pitch. Third straight 2-strike foul ball hit by Scafuri. And we'll see another 1-2. The Saints are fighting here in the ninth in a way has not been the case most of the game. Not a lot of extended at-bats. But they're not going down without a fight in the ninth inning. Check swing. Did he go around? He did not. 2-2. Some of the St. Xavier faithful clearly thought that he had. Certainly the St. Xavier dugout. The problem there is even if he did go around, you don't have a third base umpire. When you appeal to the first base umpire for a left-handed hitter, that guy better be darn sure he went around to even think about calling it. Fouled away. This very long at-bat continues. He'll see a ninth pitch. By far the longest at-bat of the game for a St. Francis hitter. Most of them have been over on 1 or 2 pitches. Swing and a miss. A good battle, but Markizic finally does get the better of Scafuri. Second strikeout of the game for Markizic, who is now 1 out away from a complete game victory. Last guy standing in his way is the Saints shortstop, Ethan Fleming. Fleming is 0 for 3. He popped out on a bunt his first time up. Since then, he's lined out twice. He checks his swing and takes a ball high. Fleming this season is a .250 hitter. So it stands to reason he'd get a hit here. He'd be 1 for 4 in the game. Instead, he pops it up on the infield right side, playable. It is Waskevich making the catch and ending the ball game. A 1-2-3 ninth inning. Worked by Markiewicz, who was outstanding all game. Got better and better as it went along. Over the final 3+ innings, over the final 4+ innings, I should say, he retired 13 of the last 14 batters that he faced, including the final 4 in a row, as he pitches a perfect 9th inning to deliver the victory to St. Xavier. Our final score, 4-1 in favor of the visiting side. Remember, this is just game 1 of a doubleheader, so the Saints will still get their chance at revenge. But let's focus on this one for the moment and look back at how it all went down. St. Francis struck first. They got a run in the bottom of the first inning. Nate Maliska singled and was bunted to second base. He came home on a Jake Murda RBI hit. That made it 1-0. St. Francis had more scoring chances the next few innings, but couldn't cash in. St. Xavier was much the same story. They left a runner on in the first, 2 in the second, 2 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth. Finally in the 6th inning, trailing 1-0, they made their first move of the game, and they did so without hitting the ball out of the infield. They loaded the bases on 2 walks and a bunt single. And then a pinch hitter came up for St. Xavier. Jackson Mitchko hit a tapper back to the pitcher's mound. It looked like they were going to get the force at home, but Jack Otis threw it away. That allowed 2 runs to score, and it gave St. Xavier their first lead of the game, one that they would not give up the rest of the way. They got another run in the 7th, kind of an ugly one from St. Francis's standpoint. The bases were loaded on 3 consecutive errors, and then an RBI walk made it 3-1. They got an earned run in the 8th on singles from Brozek and Violet. That made it 4-1. That would go on to be the final score. St. Xavier had the chance to add a lot more runs. They ended up stranding 14 runners on base. The problem for St. Francis late in the game, they couldn't get runners on base. They had just one-man reach over their final 4 innings of offense as St. Xavier takes the opening game of today's doubleheader. Our final totals for the Cougars, 4 runs, 10 hits, 2 errors. For the Saints, 1 run on 5 hits, 4 errors committed by St. Francis. The winning pitcher, of course, is Trent Markizic, who goes the distance, a 9-inning complete game, allowing just 1 run. The losing pitcher today is Jack Otis, who did not allow an earned run. 6 innings pitched, 2 unearned runs, 7 hits, 5 walks, 2 strikeouts. Otis falls to 3-3. Markizic improves to 4-1 on the season. Game 2 of today's doubleheader should commence right around 4 o'clock, maybe just after 4 o'clock, so make sure you're tuned in for that one. But that's going to wrap up coverage of Game 1 of today's Twin Bill. Again, our final score, St. Xavier 4, St. Francis 1. I'll be back at it in about a half hour as we bring you Game 2 of today's doubleheader. Until then, Terry Bonadonna signing off for now. We'll talk soon.